It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update as Bryan Danielson discusses a future match with CM Punk. We find out who topped the PWI Top 50 tag teams for 2021, and Cody Rhodes sets himself on fire on last night's AEW Dynamite. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. This week it would be revealed that an AEW wrestler has parted ways with the company following the expiration of their contract. Big Swole would take to Twitter to reveal that her deal will not be renewed following talks with AEW President Tony Khan, and she would say, "Over the past couple of months, my life has taken on the mantra, grow, learn, change. Dealing with shadow work took strength I didn't know I had. I thank God for my loving family because they got me through some of the roughest months of my life. But I realized the real test is application. So I took my leap, and after speaking with TK and higher up officials, we've decided not to renew my contract with All Elite Wrestling. This was a hard decision, but a needed one. I am grateful for their understanding and that we could mutually come to this agreement. I've enjoyed my time with AEW and wish them all the best. I appreciate their love and welcoming me into the family. Today is my last day, and as bittersweet as it is, I am proud to say that I've lived my dreams whilst making a difference. That is Swole mentality." Swole would make her AEW debut in August 2019 in the Casino Battle Royal before signing with the promotion in December 2019, where she signed a 2-year contract. Her last AEW match came on the September 21st edition of AEW Dark earlier this year, where she defeated Ali Catch, although her last appearance on AEW Dynamite was last year on December 16th, where she and Serena Deeb scored a victory over Diamante and Eva Lise. And next up, following recent travel rulings in Japan, many have questioned the status of some New Japan Pro Wrestling foreign talent ahead of their biggest show of the year, Wrestle Kingdom. The new ruling does not allow foreigners or tourists to enter the country due to the continued spread of the Omicron variant of the virus. The main event of Night 2 is set to see Shingo Takagi or Kazuchika Okada taking on Will Ospreay for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, with Ospreay being a native of the United Kingdom living inside the United States. Many have wondered if the self-proclaimed champion will be able to attend the show, with this being cleared up by New Japan President Takami Obari, who stated that foreign wrestlers who work in Japan regularly will be exempt from the restrictions, and he would say, "I've heard that regular foreign wrestlers have visas to work in Japan, so they will be treated as re-entry. This has been confirmed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs." Ospreay himself would take to Twitter to confirm that he will be at the show, and he said, "Shingo can't stop me, Okada can't stop me, COVID can't stop me, January 5th, 2022, I'll be there." Ospreay is set to headline Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, with him having the chance to win back the IWGP World Heavyweight title that he was stripped of earlier this year due to injury. He has since continued to carry his own version of the belt whilst claiming to be champion, and he will have the chance to make it official on January 5th. Next up on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, the date for the upcoming AEW World Championship match between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson was revealed. Last month, Danielson would win the World Title Eliminator Tournament at Full Gear before Hangman defeated Kenny Omega to win the championship in the main event of the show to set up a match between the two. It has been revealed that the match will headline the Winter is Coming edition of AEW Dynamite on December 15th, live from Dallas, Texas. Of course, the first ever Winter is Coming show last year would be main evented by another world title match, where then champion Jon Moxley lost the belt to Kenny Omega, meaning the show has a history of huge title changes. Could we be set to see yet another big switch again this year? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Elsewhere on last night's AEW Dynamite, the semi-finals of the TBS Championship Tournament were confirmed following the last quarter-final match. On the show, Ruby Soho would defeat Chris Statlander to secure her spot in the Final Four, where she will meet Nyla Rose, who attacked her after the match last night. The winner of Rose vs Soho will meet either Jade Cargill or Thunder Rosa in the final, depending on who comes out on top on the other side of the bracket. Cargill would beat Red Velvet, whilst Rosa would defeat defeat Jamie Hayter to advance to this stage. The final is expected to be held on January 5th when AEW Dynamite moves to the TBS network to crown the first ever AEW TBS champion. This week, AEW's Bryan Danielson would appear on Casual Conversations with the Classic podcast to discuss his current run in All Elite Wrestling, where he has worked since September 2021. Danielson has been very active since his debut, wrestling 15 matches up until this point. So far, he's worked the likes of Kenny Omega and Miro, but one name he has yet to share the ring with is CM Punk, another huge name in the business. On the podcast, Bryan would discuss a potential match with CM Punk, mentioning the possibility that they could team up at some point. FTR and the Young Bucks were named as two potential opponents, something Bryan would be happy with. The discussion of a Bryan vs Punk singles match was also brought up, and he revealed that he had hoped to work a WrestleMania match with Punk during their time in WWE, but it never happened. And he said, "I think both of those are really exciting to me. You also mentioned two teams that I would love to do a serious program with, not just a one-off thing. I've always thought, and said this even when I was in WWE, it felt to me like Punk and I were destined to do a WrestleMania match, and then it just never happened. But now, given the time of how long it's been since we've been in a ring against each other, or even as a tag team, now I feel like when we do it, it'll be big. And it will be big in a different way. That's something I really look forward to. I also like the idea of us battling over who the real best in the world is. That sounds like a lot of fun." Whether it be against the Young Bucks or FTR, CM Punk and Bryan Danielson would be an interesting addition to the AEW Tag Team division. But if they were to share a ring together, would you like it to be as a team, or would you prefer it to be in one-on-one action? Let me know in the comments down below. And speaking of tag teams, Pro Wrestling Illustrated have just released their second ever PWI Tag Team 50 list, which ranks the best 50 teams in the world for 2021. Whilst we won't be looking at all of the names, let's find out who topped the list as part of the top 5. And in at number 5 was Stardom's ALK, Syuri and Julia, who are the highest ranked female team on the list. In at number 4 is Jimmy and Jay the Usos, who are of course the current SmackDown Tag Team Champions. In at number 3 is the current IWGP Tag Team Champions Dangerous Tekkers, which is Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr. In at number 2 is the current AEW Tag Team Champions the Lucha Brothers, of course Rey Fenix and Penta El Zero M. And at the top of the list is the former AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. For the bulk of the year, the Young Bucks have dominated the AEW tag team scene, having become the longest reigning tag champs in company history, and they've replaced FTR at the top of the list, who were ranked number 1 last year, rising from 11th position. And finally, Cody Rhodes had seen the AEW fanbase turn on him over the past few months, with the babyface receiving boos from the audience, often disrupting his matches and segments. On last night's AEW Dynamite, Rhodes would take on Andrade El Idolo in an Atlanta street fight, with the finish of the match catching many off guard. Seemingly in an attempt to win back the AEW fans, Cody would drive himself and his opponent through a burning table from the top rope, pinning Andrade whilst he was still on fire. In the aftermath of the match, AEW posted some brutal images of Cody's back, which showed scars and some gruesome looking burns. This isn't the only time that he has gone all out in Atlanta, as last time he was in town he would jump off the top of a cage, hitting Wardlow with that infamous moonsault. Whether this spot has turned fans back on side, with him seemingly showing his dedication to the AEW cause, which is something that's been questioned as of late, remains to be seen. However, this week before the match, Cody would address speculation on his future, with his contract coming to an end next year. Rhodes would reveal his continued commitment to AEW and said, "As of now, my future is with AEW. AEW would be very strange without the core members of the Revolution. We, the EVPs, all still talk. We all have this admiration for each other. I can't see myself anywhere else, and I'm very optimistic about what the future holds." This is the best use of my page. I want to further develop the community outreach program, following the footsteps of the legendary Sue Aitchison of WWE. Whether the cameras are on or off, we need to hit the mark of making people's lives better. Tony Khan has been so supportive, and we're looking to make lives brighter and help. Community Outreach Ambassador Amanda Huber has been an absolute godsend to the department, and I can't say enough about her contributions. It'll be interesting to see the crowd reaction next week in Long Island, New York, now that he's not only stated his commitment to the cause, but he showed it last night on Dynamite. But let me know what you think. Did Cody's fire spot win you back over, or were you Team Rhodes all along? Let me know in the comments down below. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I discuss 10 UFC fighters that are perfect for WWE or AEW.